Before some of you asked today, Colt McCoy is the starting quarterback, so we can start off the first press conference of the year with game week with that news. Guys had a restful weekend. They needed it, but we were able to meet at 6 o'clock on Friday morning and then give them some time off Friday and Saturday. We came back Sunday afternoon, met, and then had a good team dinner last night. This morning, because of class conflicts this afternoon, we actually got the guys up at 4:45, and we've already practiced. So we were in the stadium at 5:45 in the morning. It was good that it was cool, but at the same time it was dark, like a night game, and it gives them a little bit more time off before they'll come back and practice tomorrow. So we thought it worked well, and it's something that we might look at. Opening ball games scare you to death because usually both teams are fresh and healthy. So your depth isn't as big a key in an opening ball game as it is later. And also turnovers in kicking games seem to jump up and bite one of the teams because you haven't played in a game like preseason with the NFL. So all of those things are things that really scare you to death. And we also now can start talking about this week's game instead of the end. Everybody talks about what kind of season they're going to have. They talk about their goals for the season, and this week you need to get back to just the game of the week with Louisiana-Monroe. Charlie Weatherby is the coach. He's been there for 6 years. They're a spread offense, and they're all over the place with multiple formations. Zone read has been a key play for them. Their quarterback is a transfer from Florida State, and he's a guy that's a big, tall guy, can throw the ball. And we know that the Louisiana teams can always run. So they've got great receivers. They've got a young running back that beat McKnight in the 100 in Louisiana. So they're a team that can run, and they're a team that's going to have a really good passing game. And it'll be interesting to see, because their quarterback was more of a runner last year, what they do with the big, tall transfer from Florida State. Defensively, they've hired a new defensive coordinator from New Mexico. He runs a 3-3-5. So they will be all over the place. What we've seen in New Mexico film, because we do not have any Louisiana-Monroe film with him there, is that they blitzed about 76% of the time. So again, it's good that our defense blitzes so much. Our offense has worked on blitz a whole lot, but it's very much like El Paso last year. It'll be a game where there'll be some big plays and some bad plays. They've got a young man that was out last year that in the second ball game they actually got beat by Arkansas by 1 point in the second ball game, 28-27, and had a chance. I think they missed 3 field goals at the end, but a young man got hurt in that game. It's an outstanding player and a pro prospect. It's Trusillo. His number's 34, James Trusillo, 6'2", 210-pound senior. Cartier Jackson is a guy that they're pushing for the Lombardi. He's was their leading tackler and averaged 10.6 tackles per game. And Aaron Morgan's a big defensive end that had 6 sacks last year. So we feel like that they'll be very, very aggressive on defense. It'll challenge us mentally. Offense, we're really not sure what they're going to do because we haven't seen as much of this quarterback. But you go back to 2-3 years ago, they beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Last year they had the real tight game with Arkansas, and they play Arizona State and Kentucky and us this year on the road. So they're a senior football team. They've got 5 seniors on offense and 7 on defense. So they're not a team that's going to come in here and be intimidated. I think they'll be very, very similar to the Arkansas State team that we played 2 years ago that we didn't play very well against. So that should get our players' attention.
Coach, how do you counter complacency? People saying it's only Monroe. As coaches, what do you do during the week to motivate the players and just get them as ready as possible?
Well, we tell them not to listen to you.
Thank you.
I mean, that's basically what we do. Is that one thing you learn around here is that there are a certain group of people that will not give the opponents credit. And I think our players understand that. And they're not the ones that play. They're the ones that sit in the stands. And what I would ask our fans to do is come to every ball game ready to play, because you never know how one's going to come out, like that game last year, 2 years ago with 3 years ago, I guess now, with Arkansas State, where we were ahead 21-3 at halftime, and everybody went home. We did too, and we needed to finish, so it wasn't good. But I think that our players do understand that they're the ones that have to play. They're the ones that have to produce, and they see upsets all over the country every year. You go back to Appalachian State, Michigan 2 years ago. Everybody said the same thing that week at Michigan, and it wasn't a fun day.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit earlier that now you get to talk about this game instead of talking about the whole season. Is that more of a comfortable place for you and more of what you like to do and allowing the kids to focus on one game at a time?
It is. You coach and you play for the games. And when you're talking about all the things that you can't answer until you get to a game, it really is a waste of time. The preseason chatter, everybody has it, but very few live up to it. And even as the head coach, as I sit out there and watch our practice every day, I'm still not sure what will happen in a game with this certain group against this group, because I've been seeing each other, our two groups compete against each other, and one loses every time I see it. So I'd like to see us try to win in a lot of different instances, and that's something you can't do till game day. Practice only gets you ready to produce, and you have to produce on game day to live up to your expectations. And what we've told this team is the standard is set very, very high here. And the expectations are very high this year. We want you to embrace them, but we want you to play up to them.
Coach, there's a lot of kids that get home, college kids that get home at 4:45. Not many are getting up that early. How did that go? Obviously, you guys have worked out early all fall, but how has the attitude been in those early morning practices?
It was really good this morning, but we do that now for off-season program, and we also practice that early in the morning for bowl practice. So it's something that they're used to, and again, when we're practicing on Monday with 30 guys or something with class conflicts in the afternoon, it's something we'll continue to do, but we might even look at it more. We ask the players to talk to their coaches about it and see if it would be a good way to get them. We have to be finished before their 8 o'clock classes, but would it be a good way to get them off their feet more for the afternoon in this heat?
Coach, as far as the three units or the three phases of the game, is there one particular unit you'd like to see the most progress out of? If you could look at that film, Sunday and see one unit really make strides, is there one that you'd like to see?
Yes, we of the three phases in the first ball game, you'd love to see your kicking game be successful because you can change field position and you can score points more easily in the early part than you can the middle or late, because it's something that a lot of teams have not been able to work full speed. We work our kicking game full speed. That's why Dwayne Aquina, we feel like, has been so good at blocking punts early. La-Monroe is a spread punt where they're all over the field, like Oklahoma State and like A&M used to be. So it's something that you're trying to return punts and block punts. And I would like to see us do a better job with kickoff return than we did last year. We had the one against Oklahoma, but we weren't consistently good in that phase. And Justin Tucker's been kicking the ball in the end zone. So your kicking game is key, and it's one that changes the outcomes of opening ball games probably more than anything.
Coach, last year consistency was kind of the mantra. What is that continued this year? Or do you guys have a new phrase?
No, it is something that's really important. We've always said you need to be consistently good to become great. And what we're trying to do is get our players to have an edge every ball game and compete every ball game and not sit around and talk about the other team. Let's talk about us. We want to be good. We want to be consistently good at the highest level.
Coach, on the special teams, will you use starters on the special teams?
Yes, we always have and always will. You have to be smart in that if one of your guys is a guy who cramps more readily than some others, and it's a real hot night, which it probably will be, then you can put him on special teams, but you're probably pulling him out at the end of the first quarter. So one of the things we will be doing this week, we'll be looking at substitution plans, which we'll try to formulate by Thursday. But another thing, even on offense and defense, but we also have to look at substitution in the kicking game and look at who we feel like can be out there the most. And you've got problems with double numbers. The NCAA will not let you have two guys on the field at the same time with the same number. So that's something we're all going through right now to try to figure out who we can change. And usually the younger guy has to change his number. Christian Scott did it last year, but that's something that will help us in the long run.
Coach, you mentioned the Arkansas State game a few years back, and last year you guys seemingly every game that you were supposed to win, you did win big. What's the difference between those games and a game like Arkansas State, where obviously the talent on your end is probably better, but the end result would make it seem that it wasn't.
Well, we felt like at Arkansas State that we jumped out, but we didn't finish the game. Again, we were ahead 21-3 at halftime, didn't score in the second half, and that's not who we are. And football is, you better have a huge mental edge in the game, and you can't listen to those around you. You have to prepare yourself. And as we've learned here, that every game is important. Every game has the same weight, because we've said around here sometime the only big games here are the ones you lose. And so if that's the case, we don't want many big ones.
Mack, you had an opener back in 01, 02, where you scored a lot in the first half and then scored in the second half, kind of like what you're talking about with Arkansas State. The way you study your old games, do you go back and look at the way you prepared for those games compared to the way you prepared for the other games you really dominated for the whole 60 minutes?
Yes, we've had 3 poor openers since we've been here, I think. We lost to NC State because of block kicks. We didn't score against North Texas after it was 27-0 at halftime. And then 3 years ago against Arkansas State. Against Arkansas State, we weren't a very good team for the first half of that year, and we came out of it and played well, but we didn't play well for the first 3 or 4 games there. I thought we looked tired during that ball game, and we just didn't have the attitude to finish. I think that was 07, I believe. And then you go back to North Texas. That was before we had the bubble in NC State. I thought we looked really tired in both of those games, and at that time we thought we were out of shape. And looking back, we didn't have our indoor area. I think what we did is we worked so hard out in the heat that the guys were really, really tired. So we feel like at watching practice this morning, the guys bounced around. They were quick. They're excited about the game on Saturday. And this is a team that's been waiting a long time to play like everybody else, but they're excited about this game.
Coach, Colt being a 4-year starter, meaning so much to this team and this university, watch him open his senior year.
I actually told the players the other day that I hope they realize they're playing with the most accurate quarterback in the history of college football, and that they need to enjoy it and embrace it, and the defense needs to get off the field as fast as they can so we can get Colt back on, and the offense needs to really appreciate him and what he's doing, and the offensive line needs to block well for him, and the better we can run the ball, the better we'll pass protect. But we need to really enjoy him being here, enjoy his success, and make sure that we don't take him for granted.
Coach, there's been plenty of talk about Colt's leadership and Jordan and some of the obvious guys. Can you talk maybe about a couple players that have become leaders that maybe you didn't expect but that you're happy about?
Yes, Chris Hall, Adam Ulatowski up front are doing a great job of trying to lead. Colt is without question. Jordan outside with the receivers. And then you move to and I think Vondrell stepped up and doing it with his toughness. He doesn't say a lot, but he's really been aggressive and tough. You go over on the defensive side of the ball, and it's Sergio, Sam Acho, Lamar, McElroy. Jared's trying. He just was hurt, and it was a little bit slower getting started. And I do think that Earl Thomas and Blake Gideon both in the secondary.
Mack, what's the plan for Garrett in terms of backup, and then how anxious are you to try to get him on the field?
We would like to get him on the field, and we will talk about that on Thursday, because Greg and I have talked about it some Saturday, and we mentioned it again this morning. But we've got to be fair to our team, fair to Colt, and try to get Garrett reps. So that's that balance of when you put him in. Sometimes in the past we've put a quarterback in the 3rd series or the 5th series, or tried to get them in the first half, and the most important thing is you win the game, and then you'd also like to get Garrett some quality snaps.
Do you expect Fozzie Saturday?
He practiced this morning, but we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, Vondrell would be the starter, and Cody would back him up.
Mack, you mentioned that about Vondrell, his aggressiveness. Was that something that guys kind of told him to do, that they really wanted him to become more aggressive, or was it something that he kind of just stepped into that role?
His success on the field, I think, is allowing him to do that more, because he worked so hard this summer. They gain a lot of respect with each other over summer workouts, just listening to them and watching, and he's so strong and in great shape. And I really still believe that he banged his knee up some last year against Florida Atlantic and then played the rest of the year. and he looked like in some cases he was pressing so much that he wasn't patient to see the hole. And I think our fans are going to see a different Vondrell on Saturday. We're really impressed with his patience and his toughness and his conditioning.
Coach, how much of it is excitement right now amongst you and the team? How much of it is nerves? And what do you tell them at this point to try to focus all that?
There's always a little anxious moment about the first game because it's the unknowns, and even the unknowns for guys that have played a lot but they haven't played in 6 months. You're really unsure of the other team. They've got a new quarterback. They've got a new defensive coordinator. They've got 2 players that didn't play last year, a receiver that's a really good player that wasn't eligible, and then a young man that got hurt early. So just the unknowns of how the game will start, what happens, how you have to change it, all of those things are things that make you anxious. And at the same time, they're so tired of practice. And they've worked so hard since the Ohio State game in the off-season program about every day. They're working on their own if they're not with us. And then a real physical spring practice where they got after each other. And the seniors understand this is their last trip. So that's what they're looking forward to. I think anxious would be fair, excited would be fair, but they want to have some fun. And the games are fun. Practice is hard. So they're looking forward to a fun Saturday, and your young ones haven't played in this stadium. So there's a lot of guys, Garrett Gilbert being one, that'll walk out there for the first time ever in front of fans when he's dressed in a uniform. He's been here as a recruit. He's never been here in a football uniform.
Coach, can you compare how you feel right now to how you felt on the Monday of the first game week of your first year here at Texas?
Oh gosh, I probably had no clue the first game I was here. It's been 12 years, so I would think people kept asking me about what it's going to feel like to coach in this stadium for the first time, and I thought it's going to feel like a game I think we need to win. It was New Mexico State, and we won 66-33, and I think it was 33-0 at halftime or 33-3, and then we fought our guts out the second half, and we were really good on offense, and everybody thought we took all of our defensive players out. We didn't. They scored 30 points the second half, and we were trying everything we could to stop them. And I remember walking off the field and said, boy, we better score a bunch of points this year if we're going to win any games. But it's fun to be in this stadium. It's fun to be around our fans, and the games are fun for me too.
Is the excitement similar?
Oh, yeah, it doesn't change. I thought after we won the national championship, the opening game the next year was, there wasn't as much build-up and all that. And I don't even remember who it was right now, but we were excited about it. I mean, you just couldn't wait to get back out there and get it going. And that's the thing about coaching and playing. I remember walking into the Alamo Bowl when we were playing Iowa, and we had 9 wins, Arizona State, and the Holiday Bowl. And there's very little difference in your mind and your mentality when you walk out there as a coach or a player. You want to win the game, and that's all you've got that day. You've got that game, and you really don't worry about the previous one or the next one. You just worry about that one at that time.
Would you consider this the finest stadium now in the country now with all the things they've done with the south end zone and with Newhouse Royal back there?
One of our boosters walked in the stadium with me this weekend and said, wow, we've always said we've got it, but now we do. And I would think that for us, we would think it's the best in the country. I think it would be fair because a lot of people think theirs is the best in the country, that if this isn't the best, it's even with the best. Because I don't see anybody having a better place to play than this right now. They've just done an amazing job with it. Thank you all.
Coach. Good job, Sean.